GA at the moment. Pat Nevin is well with us. 4-1 wins for Manchester City and Arsenal respectively. John Stones, midfield maestro. We have Graham Potter and Brendan Rodgers sacked. And Manchester United woeful against Newcastle yesterday as well. So Pat Nevin will join us after 953-106, the text number. We are at Off the Ball on Twitter. Michael McCarthy here in studio. Good evening. Hello, Michael.
Good evening, Joe.
And Richie McCormack as well. Hello to you.
What's the crack?
Ooh, a lot of sport to get on top of from the weekend that was. A lot going on.
This time of year is super.
Yeah, I think April, if I was to pinpoint a month where it's just unworkable.
Yeah, and do you know what? All these organisations need to get together, because last week was missable. You can't be having weekends like that. Like, you need to have weekends where you're able to possibly catch your breath, but you still can watch sport at any given time. This week was just, there was no breath drawn.
No, it was tough. It was tough. Even, and it was early Saturday morning, or afternoon, 12:30. Morning in my world.
Joe, it's morning in your world. I don't know for how much longer. For me, hanging around waiting for that 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday is the only time I have. I'm up for the 5 hours at that stage.
Well, it was Durban,
a world lived,
and Manchester.
Yeah,
the water slide in Durban.
That was your real highlight.
Caught my eye.
The weekend.
Yeah, it was fun. If you didn't see that, they had a water slide for the kids at the stadium behind the goals.
I found those two games being on simultaneously a nuisance, to be honest, because I kind of wasn't in a position to like double screen, so I was flicking between the two, kind of seeing nothing, and then both games sort of ended at the same time. So like City got their third goal around the time that Sharks kind of just put it away.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they went 3 scores ahead maybe at that point in the second half, and then it wasn't worth watching either of them. So it was kind of I found it an unfulfilling experience.
Well, it was unfulfilling for Munster. They were badly done. Their front row was exposed, their scrum was exposed, they were torn apart at the breakdown. Sharks, it was suddenly as the game really came into view, and you realised, Mapimpi, Lukanyuam, Etzebeth, Khaleesi. Actually, these are very, very good.
Yeah. And
Munster are ill-equipped in several areas, and they were torn apart, is the honest truth. To be fair, the heat was absolutely a factor. But it was a chastening day for Munster, and meanwhile, chastening day for Liverpool at the same time. Pep Guardiola, we'll talk about it with Pat Nevin. I mean, he's bloody interesting. I know occasionally he overthinks it and does something mad, often on a Champions League evening. But I was, in so much as I could, watching the game and thinking, it is an amazing time to be watching somebody this brilliant and interesting managing a team with the resources that he has. It's almost not fair at times, but it's bloody interesting. So if you didn't see the game, it was Ake, Ruben Dias, Akanji as a back three. And I guess John Stones, at times he was dropping into the defensive line, but it was like a square of Stones and Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan, who was brilliant. Mahrez and Grealish on the wings and Alvarez through the middle, and whatever. So we can review it afterwards, we can analyse it afterwards, we can make sense of it afterwards. Whatever way he's able to predict the
visualise.
way to tear a team apart. I mean, it was just a joy to watch. They were so good. I mean, they really were so good. Grealish said, "I feel like myself again." He's back in a big way.
Yeah, Grealish was very good, I have to say. I've been a bit sceptical of all the praise that he's been getting again, and likewise with Guardiola. It is sometimes difficult to fully appreciate the good work because of the resources and because of the fact that I'm sure it's easy to experiment with interesting formations when you've been able to buy any player you've ever wanted in the time that he's been in charge there. However, I do agree with your point. I think like that is something that we see things on a regular basis that if we have seen before, we haven't seen many times before. No. And there's only probably one manager doing that.
I appreciate that. It depends on who you listen to, but Cruyff built the cathedral, to use Pep's analogy. Now he's added a few extensions.
Yeah.
To say the least. There's a text in, it's tough as it's ever been to not to condemn all that's wrong with Man City. But what a performance, what a team. For all that he can annoy, Guardiola is an absolute genius. This is true. And Peter in Galway, all things being equal, Pep is lucky not to have gotten a shove minimum for celebrating in front of those Liverpool players. Way over the line, says Peter.
He didn't celebrate in front of them. That would have been fine. He literally put his hand out for like a high five from Tsimikas. It was disgraceful behaviour. It was really petty, childish typical Pep. And then when he's asked about it, he's all affronted.
Was he not
how dare you say this to me?
Was he not just a bit lost in the moment, no?
So he sees a Liverpool player and puts his hand out and says, yeah, look at my team. Well done, give me congratulations.
Was that a degree
He's an
of-
arsehole.
Okay.
Sorry, come on. That was
hard to argue with that.
And then you have Nick Richards on defending it because he's not allowed to say on Match of the Day because he's not allowed to say anything bad about Match of the Day. I have a few bees in my bonnet about that particular moment in the weekend and everything we brought on.
The BBC with, like, I think it was Mark Chapman, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who I would have Chapman over Lineker as an aside, but that's not what we're talking about. That is a tangent. He did say he sort of said to Michael Richards, and it was like they leaned into the joke. It was, well, I can't even ask you about it.
Oh, the fact that they find it hilarious that he won't do his job.
It's gone too far.
That he refuses to do his job is this like gas thing.
No,
it's like, hold on a second. Be annoyed with him at
these
least.
club ambassadors, because they joked, "Oh, Mikey, you're not making eye contact," and then it was just big laugh. And I kind of thought, I get it's all fun and games, Richie, but at the same time, I have a pundit on. It's a bit strange. More importantly, Jason in Dublin, Richie, says, Joe, it's Masters Week. Why aren't we talking about the Masters?
Oh, God.
Well, indeed.
Jesus Christ.
Hang on. Even you can't be down on the Masters, are you?
I'm not down the Masters, but it's Monday. So let's
We'll wait till Tuesday.
Monday is Masters Week. It's one of the best days of Masters Week.
Masters Week starts on Thursday when the actual Masters starts.
Big preview tomorrow night, Joe. Paul McGinley.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you know what, actually? The Golf Weekly fraternity, they picked their moments. Nathan Murphy, unavailable all week. Fionn Davenport, unavailable all week. Me and Peter Lowry staring into the abyss. So we've just called in a couple of replacements. Padraig Harrington, Gary Murphy, hour-long, maybe 2 hour long, maybe 3 hour long replacements. So we're better off without them, I say.
I was watching Padraig at the weekend.
Oh, he's very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very
flying,
good.
Especially on
Very good.
Thursday. Yeah. 10th, I think he finished, but didn't get him into the Masters, which means he's on Golf Weekly.
Padraig, you must be thrilled to be here. So Brendan Rodgers to Chelsea would be hilarious, says Luke, Celtic fan. The Graham Potter situation, sad to see. I am torn on it. Can his softly style really cut it at the top level? I don't think so.
I don't know about that.
Thurles.
That's too much made of that. Way too much made of that.
Although, can we? Go on. Sorry.
The main thing about that whole Chelsea situation is they have taken the long way around and spent an awful lot of money, be it the compensation they would have paid up to their previous manager, to Thomas Tuchel, to the compensation they paid Brighton, to the hundreds upon hundreds of millions that they paid to different clubs in January, to effectively hand a Champions League rival a Champions League winning manager for nothing. It's just whatever talk about Todd Bowley's experience in football. I've no idea how he made money in the first place, because if that's his level of business acumen, it's a mystery how that man ever made money. It's just gobsmacking.
Yeah. I mean, they actually can. I blame myself. I feel like an idiot, because they got me hook, line and sinker with it. No, this is holistic, long term, 5-year deal. This is a different regime. I was like, I always spend weeks saying to Patnam, I hear this is a different regime. So more fool me. But in some respects, in Graham Potter, because I don't blame Potter, because Potter is what he is. He fit the profile of what they were aspiring to be. They were aspiring to be stable and sensible and logical and follow a process of improvement. That is Graham Potter. But they behaved like a nouveau riche club on steroids. I mean, just in January, they signed 9 players for nearly €400 million. I mean, Match of the Day 2 had to put up photos of all the Chelsea signings under Todd Bowley, and it took 2 full screens.
Yeah.
So you don't go for Graham Potter if that's how you're going to behave.
That's fair, yeah. And to the texter's original point, I think Graham Potter's career definitely has another act, and then possibly another act again at a higher club, after I think he'll be a success next time. Yeah, no, I do.
I think he's done now at Champions League level.
No, I don't. You'll get another chance. I think that Chelsea will be seen for what they are, which is a basket case.
Will Brendan Rodgers get another chance?
At Liverpool?
At that level, yeah.
I think
it's different to Potter.
Yeah, sorry, Richie. I know you're trying to come in there. I couldn't quite hear you, but I think Brendan Rodgers' media persona and personality, I think, works against them to a certain degree.
Did Potter not start to lose himself a touch with the fact?
Maybe, but I don't think anything. It's just because you got a haircut doesn't put him on like Brendan Rodgers level of like that Liverpool documentary at the time and stuff. So I think that might have worked against Rodgers.
So he's okay.
The 3 seconds of praise Mick gave to Jack Grealish, the equivalent of a Ballon d'Or coming from him, says Martin Kerry.
I've always known how good a footballer Jack Grealish is. Can I go back for 1 second though to the Guardiola thing?
Please,
because the disrespect of it for me is like, this is the problem with Guardiola. It's all the things you talk about as a football manager.
Yeah.
I find it so hard to look past the fact that he is this kind of like, and maybe it is just caught in the moment, but his instincts are to be
an arsehole.
I wasn't going to use the word again. Yeah, no, I wasn't able to find an alternative. But yeah, you've said it for me. His instinct is to be that in the moment, and then to get angry about people calling him out on it. And I think that's, you judge people on what they do in that moment. Like Jurgen Klopp does it as well. Let's face it. Not to that extent. I don't think he's done it with opposition, but he's done it in terms of running on the pitch and different things as well. But I do think you reveal yourself in those moments.
The issue with the Guardiola thing on Saturday was the passivity with which the Liverpool players kind of took that. They kind of just looked at him and walked past him.
They were so beaten down.
They're so beaten down. They're just like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, well, you're better than us. It was just like, if you're in that situation, you react in some way. You don't just walk by.
Can I just clarify, so I'm definitely right about what happened? My sense of it is, why I think you're being a touch harsh on him, is that the goal happened and he just started celebrating wildly and went to turn back to the pitch, at which point Tsimikas was walking towards him, and so he kind of kept celebrating, and then another player walked, and I think he put out the hand, not to like goad, but to almost say no malice intended.
Yeah, he didn't shake his hand or pat him on the back though. He put his hands out as if like a goal celebration,
as if he was going to
congratulate me.
It was a goal celebration. It was looking for a kind of like a slap down on the hands.
Okay.
Which, and look, maybe that is what Pep is actually doing, is what you're saying. But how it looked was, oh, look at that, man. How good was that?
Okay.
Bro.
Okay.
I don't know if he uses those words.
Bro.
If your Owen Farrell accent was a high point in the history of the show, that was a low point right there.
Oh, sorry, okay.
We should press on. Lots to get to. So the news round. The news round is brought to you as ever with thanks to Gillette Labs. Get the ultimate shave or your money back. Neon Night Edition available now. Lads, I can't keep up with all the sport. There is too much on at the moment. It's pretty crazy.
That's why we have Richie.
There's more this evening.
Yeah, there is. Everton looking to climb out of the Premier League's bottom three tonight, bro. Their opponents, Tottenham, playing for the first time since Antonio Conte's sacking, can go third in the table, amazingly. The lineups are in for this one. Jordan Pickford is in goal for Everton. Seamus Coleman stars at right back, captains the side. He's in a back four, along with Michael Keane, James Tarkowski and Ben Godfrey. In midfield then, Alex Iwobi, Abdoulaye Doucouré and Idrissa Gueye, with Amadou Onana and Dwight McNeil in support. The false nine, Damari Gray. For Spurs, Hugo Lloris is back in goal. A back three then of Christian Romero, Eric Dyer, Clement Longley. Across the midfield from right to left, it's Pedro Porro, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Oliver Skipp and Ivan Perisic. Dejan Kulusevski and Heung-min Son are in service to Harry Kane. Kickoff, bro, is at 8 p.m.
Okay, stop now.
Yeah, there is a whispered quietly, but Manchester United are abysmal again story developing.
Oh my God. They were so bad yesterday. Yeah. Like at one point I thought they were going to get away with it. When Newcastle were missing those chances and you're like, oh, this isn't going to be a story again because they're going to sneak a 1-0 win or draw 0-0 and it'll be just a non-story, we'll just move on. But they're absolutely shocking. They were they that much worse against Liverpool than they were yesterday?
On a par.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it
XG was
on
4-0. They got away in the way that they didn't get away with it. Liverpool almost to a comical level. They really got away with it yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of missed chances. De Gea made one of the most unbelievable instinct reflex saves I've seen in a long, long time. There was just a lot, just dominating, and it just and Newcastle aren't the most. They're not the most exciting attacking side, but they were cutting them open.
Yeah, they were.
Now, I think they are improving slightly on that since Isak came back, but still, they're not one of those teams, and they looked like it yesterday.
So Jonathan Wilson in The Guardian said Manchester United 2.5 times more likely to lose a game when Casemiro doesn't play. So they're still at that stage. Danny Murphy, and I totally agreed with him last night, was making the point that a fair proportionate blame does lie with Ten Hag's setup. He left Fred on the bench and he went with Scott McTominay pushed high on Bruno Guimaraes. He had Bruno Fernandes on Sean Longstaff and Marcel Sabitzer on Joseph Willock. So it was Bruno Fernandes and Sabitzer as the two sixes at the base. Neither of them see danger. Neither of them have a relationship. Like Bruno Fernandes was at his stroppy best again, I would say. Hot on the heels of the Anfield debacle. I mean, he really learned his lesson. He was at his stroppy best again. And Murphy was saying, I mean, you know, Fred is not the greatest player in the world, but at least you put him there at the base with McTominay. You're away from home. You know, it settles a ship which is a touch unsteady. But Guimaraes, Longstaff, Willock completely ran over that Manchester United midfield.
Yeah,
and
Guimaraes is a great player, isn't he?
Really good. Rashford is just gone off the boil again, and Anthony is not good enough.
Doesn't look like it. No. And like Weghorst, the other thing is, like, I know Weghorst is a short-term signing and it's not going to be reflective of Erik Ten Hag's entire tenure, right? But Anthony was a player he put his neck out for, right? And Weghorst was his answer to this need for number 9. I remember saying at the time, it's like we laughed when United were bringing in, when, like, you talked about like the dark old days and how kind of enjoyable in a weird way they were, even for
thrilling,
a lapsed United fan, you know. But we did laugh at certain players that were brought in as not being like anywhere near the standard of Manchester United. But things were going well when the Weghorst decision was made. And I remember saying at the time, it's like, he's not good enough. He's not what United need, be it short term or not. They're better off getting a young player, maybe bringing through whatever it might be, unearthing someone, as opposed to someone who we know his limitations. And it's like, that's the rest of the season. United are far from guaranteed a Champions League spot, I would say. If Spurs go on any kind of a run in the post-Conte era, I would say they're probably unlikely almost at this stage. So, I do think questions have to be asked about Ten Hag.
Yeah. To a point. I mean, it's generally much, much better. But they're only 3 points better off than they were this time last season, is a sneaky stat.
It's interesting. This is around the time they went in free fall last year, isn't it?
Sorry, Rich.
Yeah, I'd say consider their start as well, from where they were and the points that they were dropping for fun at the start of the season and in the manner in which they were doing it. They have come on a long journey, and like that run that they went on either side of Christmas was always bound to kind of grind to a halt at some stage, because they don't have the squad that's comparable to the likes of to Manchester City and a Liverpool at their best, or an Arsenal even at this stage. And the Weghorst signing was one done just in terms of numbers and having to get a body in the door after Ronaldo left. But I don't get the persistence in starting him, because I'd say there's probably better. Yeah, there's better players that can operate in that trio behind Marcus Rashford that aren't starting for Manchester United at the moment, and that's the point that would be confusing to me and will probably need a bit of explanation, because I don't know, I just don't see how he would be better than somebody like Jadon Sancho or Anthony Elanga or anybody else you want to mention that could operate in that wide position or in behind Marcus Rashford. It's an odd situation. They'll probably be fine, and they'll probably end up getting Champions League football, but they might make it bumpy between now and then.
Yeah, like Jadon Sancho would have a similar boat, just a bit like Anthony, no pace, nothing that scary. Anyhow, we'll press on. Lots of texts coming in. For instance, does Mick only talk about Aston Villa when they're useless? Things are looking great currently, says Danny, a Villa fan. Sorry, we've no time. We have to push on. Richie.
Yes, indeed. Limerick looks set to be without William O'Donoghue for Sunday's Allianz Hurling League final with Kilkenny. The midfielder has seen a one-game ban recommended by the CCCC after he appeared to make contact with the head of Tips, Alan Tynan, at the start of last week's semi-final. Meanwhile, Cork are to appeal the red card shown to full-back Alan Downey in their semi-final loss to Kilkenny. If his ban is upheld, Downey will miss Cork's Munster Hurling Championship opener with Waterford. Josh van der Flier is a doubt for Leinster's Heineken Champions Cup quarter-final with Leicester. The flanker suffered an ankle injury in the win over Ulster and will be monitored this week, but Gary Ringrose will make his comeback on Friday, having not played since the Six Nations win over Scotland at Murrayfield. Caelan Doris will be assessed this week after also completing the return to play protocols. Leicester haven't won many plaudits for their style of play so far this season, but Leinster winger James Lowe knows how dangerous the Tigers can be.
What do you
can argue that they don't play too much rugby in the middle half of the field, and it's probably true, but I mean, the style of rugby, they're getting wins. They're finding a way to win without, taking too many risks. So, we need to understand what they're trying to do to us and then hopefully turn it on its head. We trained well today, and we've got a pretty good idea of what they're going to do. And I don't think they're going to stray too far from their very, very good maul, their good maul D, and the kickers that they've got across the park. So we're looking forward to it. It's a new challenge, and we're at home at the Aviva again, so nowhere else would rather be.
Live and off the ball this Friday night.
Oh,
Joe?
very good. Is there anything in a sentence you would like to say about Aston Villa? Rudely undercut you there.
No, don't. Like there's be plenty of time to talk about the Emery revolution over the course of the year, but
There won't.
well, there will, because they're going to get into Europe at this stage. They've won 7 away games since Emery took over. Worst away record in the league under Gerrard. 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat to Man City.
Well, that has snuck under my radar,
Yeah,
That's good.
nobody talks about us. We're happy like that.
Keenan Sligo, Richie won't talk Masters on a Monday, but we get team news for a hurling league final on Sunday. That's a fair bloody point, Second story as well.
But the field is determined for the Masters, so it's grand.
Yeah, it's news.
It is going to be a super interesting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of Masters.
Okay.
Oh, God.
The live guys are in town.
Oh, yeah.
There is a Champions Dinner. It'll be the leakiest Champions Dinner of all time. We'll be getting it'd be like a Limerick, or not Limerick, a Donegal County Board meeting. Getting live updates in real time about.
There's no press inside the room.
Exactly like a Donegal County Board meeting.
But things, what Phil has said to upset Tiger, etc.
There's a DJ press conference there already, I think. I'm after looking at the wire feed. Yeah, it's only about 4 minutes long, which is probably thankful for Dustin Johnson's press conference. But
he won't say much. I wouldn't think. I presume.
Actually, they're bound by legalities and all that kind of stuff as well.
To a point. I'd say Phil will find his way to a microphone one way or another. But so there is that. There is are the live guys going to be competitive? Brooks Koepka won the live event on Sunday. Does that mean anything? Cam Smith, if he hadn't gone to live, would be right up there with Scheffler, Rahm and Rory as instead of the big 3, it would be the big 4. But no one's seen Cam Smith play competitive golf aside from live in the last couple of months. So the extent to which they're in any kind of shape is hard to know. And then you've got Rory going for the Grand Slam and a billion other quite interesting
Nobody's even talking about what Scotty Scheffler's going to serve at the dinner.
That was published a couple of weeks ago. It was nice from memory.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
No, people don't really generally care about anything Scotty Scheffler does outside the golf.
It's amazing that a world number 1 defending champion can come in this under the radar.
Yeah. And playing really well at the moment as well. Like at the best golf since last year's Masters he's playing.
In great form.
Yeah.
In great form. Did Pádraig Joyce ever lose a match where the ref wasn't to blame? Could you explain why Colin Reap and Johnny Heaney collision was a black card and a penalty? By the time of the collision, was the ball not gone wide, says Anthony in Mayo.
In Mayo.
To be fair to Joyce, Anthony, you have willfully misquoted him there, because he said after querying the decision, he did 100% say, regardless, Mayo were the better team, they deserve to win. So he didn't blame the ref for losing. He's entitled to query the decision. That's one of those weird ones where keeper comes out, player player gets ball first. Keeper destroys player, like going back to the Schumacher days. And it's not like the player's ever going to get that ball that they've kicked, and yet keeper can't be allowed to just come out and clear them. But I did think it was
a foul regardless of where the ball is going. We have these constant kind of conversations.
It was a bit more of a coming together than a foul, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and Reap was brilliant, by the way, as well, all the way through the game. It looks like Mayo have, they've had Henley and Clark there for 45 years at this stage, so for them to find another keeper is another benefit of what's been an amazing league campaign for them.
We'll talk to Colin Boyle very shortly. Rich, as I glance here at your news round, I see you have Kevin McStay as the next story.
Yes, indeed. The Mayo manager got his hands on his second piece of silverware in the Mayo job yesterday. Goalkeeper Colin Reap, as you mentioned, made a number of vital saves and indeed scored 3 points as Mayo beat Galway 14-11 at Croke Park to claim an 11th Alliance League title. And overjoyed McStay spoke afterwards to Midwest Radio.
I really am. It's, you go into these finals with 2 options, go home without it or go home with it. And so we all know what we wanted to do, but the opposition have a say in the destination as well. So I'm just so pleased that when it was on the line, we just showed that little bit more desire, I think, to get our hands on the cup. And I think it's a very decent moment in the evolution of the team. I really do. I think it's going to do a lot for them. That they can come up here and they can compete with, a team that's highly spoken of in terms of rankings and so on. So we're really pleased, very satisfied with the day's work.
Yeah. And then it was, are you all going out in the sauce? No, we've got a championship game in 5 days. So You're quickly back into it. Dublin, meanwhile, Rich.
Yeah, they were crowned Division 2 champions yesterday. They'll go up as winners. Their second half goals from Paul Mannion, Lorcan O'Dell, John Small and Killian O'Gara saw Desi Farrell's side complete a 4-6 to 11-point win over Derry in the opener at Croke Park.
News from the Irish women's squad.
Yes, indeed. Lucy Quinn replaces the injured Lily Agg in the Republic of Ireland squad that travels to the United States. Agg has an ankle problem. The first 2 friendlies with the world champions takes place in Texas on Saturday before the sides meet in St. Louis on Tuesday week. Some breaking rugby news as well tonight. Geordie Murphy is retiring at the end of this season at the age of 31. The Ulster flanker says the time is right to move on to the next chapter in his life. Murphy helped Leinster win a Champions Cup and 3 Pro 12 titles before leaving for Ulster in 2018. He was also part of the Ireland squad that won 3 Six Nations titles in the space of 5 years.
Yeah, 31, quite young too.
Yeah, he's 32 in a couple of weeks, but still, yeah, you feel like there could be another couple of years there. But interesting career, and like I suppose the biggest day I guess he was part of. He was playing in Chicago, like one of the most historic games in Irish rugby history. But yeah, as Richie said, like involved in 3 Six Nations winning titles. Like Murphy was one of those players that was always there or thereabouts on the Ireland team for a good few years, you know.
Yeah.
Probably never someone that we always jumped on as like that first choice or whatever, but there was a reason that coaches always had him either in the team or very close to it.
Just final story, Rich. Liverpool, we mentioned on Saturday against City, were comprehensively beaten. They go again tomorrow.
They do indeed, and the Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp has admitted his past successes are keeping him in the job. Saturday's defeat to Manchester City leaves the side 8th in the Premier League table, and ahead of tomorrow night's trip to Chelsea, Klopp says he can't keep relying on his past glories.
I'm here to deliver. I'm not here as a talisman or whatever, or as for murals on a house's walls. I'm here to deliver. I know that 100%. There's nothing else in my mind. But I know as well I'm still here because of what happened in the last few years. I don't like the fact that pretty much have to rely on that. But is it right or not? We will see that in the future. But we have to. I'm fully in. So there's no doubt about. But we have to sort it. We cannot just continue playing like we do from time to time. Not always, thank God, but from time to time, and that's not allowed really. And I'm really disappointed about us. So like of us that we do these kind of things, but it happened. So now we have to find a way out, and that's what we are constantly working on.
I mean, who knows what happens tomorrow? Chelsea, Liverpool, and then Arsenal are at Anfield on Sunday 4:30. Paul, who's watching on YouTube, says Brendan Rodgers has a big Spurs head in him.
I would like, as a neutral, I would like to see Rodgers get one of these 2 jobs. I think it would be brilliant for the game and for the discourse surrounding the game.
Okay.
But it's not going to happen. No.
Fountainstown Forlan. Did they play Freed from Desire in Croke Park yesterday? They did not. It was Molly Malone followed by the Green and Red Mayo.
Okay.
Needs more gala.
Yeah. I'd say they're probably more still in the Black Eyed Peas era in Croke Park, are they?
Yeah. We are pretty much out of time. A few texts in on Graham Potter. Why didn't he take Chelsea to the cleaners? Yeah, this is a story I need to get to the bottom of. I do worry this is Graham Potter being incredibly reasonable man. Like Conte took Chelsea for 25 million.
Yeah.
If you're sacking me, it's going to be that way. Whereas it seems there are reports of Todd Bowley's relief that they managed to shake hands on a not paying up the full contract kind of a situation. And if I don't know, maybe there was a clause,
5-year contract.
Yeah, there may well have been a clause which said, listen, if we have to sack you, then you're not getting the full 5 years. But if Potter has acquiesced in any way by just being a good person,
I'm finished with him. I'm finished with him if he has, because it's the club he's done as well. Like, how much money did they spend in January? They paid 20 million to Brighton for him, which was a world record.
Brighton have done very well here.
Brighton have to serve me at 20 million.
Yeah, so details will emerge. I don't know if it's a clause in contract or if Potter had said, yeah, no, look, I understand. Oh, you want to keep my staff? Yeah, look, I understand.
He's a fool.
Well, hang on, we don't know.
Sorry, that was a very big if. Yeah.
Jeez, you're knifing everybody here tonight.
No, I'm not. I feel sorry for Graham Potter in general, but I hope he got what he was owed at least.
Yeah. We are pretty much out of time. Michael, thank you very much. Richie, you know what tomorrow is? It's Masters Tuesday, so I want you to bring the goods. He's already
Richie's gone.
Oh my God.
He'll have to do his Masters research.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. We've Paul McGinley tomorrow, by the way, on Masters Tuesday, as well as Richie's Masters laden Newsround.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's cash machine.
Now, somebody missed out on the chance to win today when they missed their call, so we have a rollover. If you've entered since 5 o'clock on Friday, you're still in to win, but you must know the new number, which is €20,292.38. Text play to 57555.